Sukh San Wan Songkran, everybody. For those of you who are wondering what Songkran is, and if you're new to Thailand, Songkran Festival is when Thai people and actually the countries neighboring Thailand celebrate their New Year's Day, which happens to fall under April 13th to April 15th, whereas the 13th is typically the day of the New Year's, and that is the main day that people celebrate Songkran in Thailand. So in terms of the typical traditions of Songkran in Thailand is that on the 13th, there is this tradition for Thai people to do, which is called Lot Nam Dam Phua. And what it translates to is the gesture of pouring water and bowing down to those that you respect. Just like the Chinese New Year, Songkran is the time when Thai people gather and go back to their hometowns and stay with their families. And on the 13th, what they typically do with the Lot Nam Dam Hua tradition is that the children of the family would prepare a bowl of sacred water with flowers inside, and they would go to their elderly, such as their mothers and fathers, grandparents, and they would pour water over their hands as a gesture of cleansing and respect.
I think it's more like cleansing away the old energies or bad lucks from the previous year, because what Songkran is considered as New Year for Thai people and the neighboring country. Similar to how the Chinese New Year, we do a deep cleaning to cleanse away all the old stuff and bad energies. So for the water, is the same meaning too, like cleaning away bad jujus.
With this particular gesture, why the children are the one doing it is because it is a symbol for the idea of cleansing and the idea of bringing good fortune into the family, and also the idea of respect that children in the family show to their parents, right? And you can also see this sort of respect transferred into the other traditions and other forms that you might see around Thailand during this time, such as Thai people would typically also visit a lot of temples and pay their respects to the Buddha and pray. And usually when you go around temples, you might also see that there will be Buddha statues that are displayed where people would also pour water over them and cleanse them. This is also another aspect of Songkran that you might see, which all relates back to the concept of cleansing and the concept of good fortune, bringing good fortunes into the new year and prosperity.
Also, with the Songkran coming, most of the time people who live in Thailand would know that when Songkran approaches, it means the hottest time of the year is arriving as well. So when April's arrive, we will all be ready to feel the heat from the sun, because it's literally the hottest time of the year in Thailand. That's why I feel like the Songkran festival, where people would go out and splash this water to each other, it is definitely a fun thing to do. But at the same time, it is to also, while we enjoy and celebrate this festival, we also get to feel cool with some water. And with my past experience joining the water festival in Silom Street, and also back in my high school, it is really normal that people put ice into the water to make the water even colder. So when we play with ice cold water under the heat, all of a sudden you feel really fresh. Yeah, so this is some of the small things that if you haven't experienced the water festival in Thailand, you could expect something like this, being splashed by really, really cold water. And also, there's a few rules when we go to celebrate this water festival, right? From what I remember from my last experience joining the Songkran water festival in Silom, the rule was we're not allowed to use high pressure water guns because that becomes too dangerous. We don't want to harm people when we are having fun. And I remember wearing proper attire is also recommended. But definitely I saw a lot of interesting people who dress up themselves. For example, I saw people who dress up like a superwoman. I also saw people who dress up with like a really fun and crazy cartoon characters, and they're just having fun, having people splashes water on them. Those are fine, but I think what proper costume or proper attire means, don't get too naked on the road. And also, some people will also mix the water with powders, right? And then put powders on your face. I believe that's also a good blessing for the powders. Do you know anything about the powder thing?
I know that the powder thing is also really cold. It's like a cold, like snake powder that people use, like the snake brand powder. People mix that with water and then they put them on the faces so that they keep themselves cool. I'm not sure in terms of the traditional wise what the meaning of the powder could mean. However, I think it is really important as well for us to clarify to our listeners about the different traditions that we're talking about here. So what I've mentioned earlier about the temple visits and also a pay a respect visit to your family, going back to your family during this day. Typically, this all happens on the 13th and the 14th, which are the first 2 days during Songkran. But while this is going on, the more surface level celebration that happens during Songkran in Thailand that you might see more often, and that is more marketed to the public, is the concept of water splashing and playing with water, which is what Sin's highlighting here. And this typically happens on the 15th onwards when people start playing, but then at the same time it happens these days because of how commercialized the festival is. It happens right away when Songkran occurs. I also believe that we are entering a new age in the world where Songkran is now going to be more commercialized to the world. I believe that for this year, the government has also made Songkran festival a month-long celebration, I believe. And also the holidays themselves, typically it's 3 days, right? But for this year, I believe that they've extended it to 5 days for the holidays. So people have more time to travel home and more time to celebrate it with their loved ones or their friends. In terms of the things that people can do in Bangkok during Songkran Festival, I also had an experience just like you, Sin. I went to Silom before to celebrate Songkran. This is a very popular spot in Bangkok that people go celebrate. And during this time, I believe the road is also closed for people to... So typically the road where cars are running and buses are running, that will be closed for during the Songkran festival, and you can go purchase like a water gun and all these things, and then you go out on the streets and shoot at each other and like pour water at each other or put powder on each other's faces, like respectfully. And there's a really fun story that I remember of, as in not a fun story, but a memory that I have of Songkran in the past that I've celebrated in Silom. So I remember it being super hot, like you said. That's why they put like ice water inside like these water guns and all these things. Thank God for that. And when I was walking around, it was so packed. There were so many people that sometimes in certain sections, you had to like push yourself through. So it's so important that you are wearing something that you feel like you're comfortable in, but at the same time appropriate. So I wouldn't really recommend wearing like a white shirt for ladies who, once the shirt is wet, you could see through the shirt. It's not that appropriate. And also because of how tight it is, people are like rubbing against each other. So that is something to really look out for. And I remember that year that I went to play Songkran at Silom, my friend happened to be wearing like I'm not even joking, like an heirloom, what's it called? Like a real gold-plated earring when we went to the festival. And after we were playing, we were like shooting water or whatever, like at Silom. And then by the time we finished the road, we went from the tip of the road to the end of the road. When we finished and then we were about to like take the BTS, my friend realized that that piece of heirloom is gone. It like dropped, and it was like real gold that was like passed down from her like grandmother down to her mother to herself. It was like it was so sad. Like she was so sad in that moment. And I was like, yeah, like what I'm trying to highlight here is that don't bring valuables with you when you're going out. And I would recommend if you're going out to play water to have one of those, plastic bags that is water resistant. So you can put your phone and maybe some cash in there that you could use when you go out to play and nothing more. Because as I've said in this story, like don't bring valuables because it's bound to disappear. And there could be pickpockets in all these places. And other than Silom Road, I know that there's also, I think, Khao San, which is a very famous spot for the festival. You can see people playing and splashing water everywhere you go. Sometimes you're in a car and then another car next to you that happens to be like a pickup truck has like a big water bucket next to them and they will just like splash you. So also another warning for people who drive during this time to drive slowly because sometimes they splash you with water, sometimes water with powder, and then it like messes up your rear view mirrors and then you can't see. So be sure to drive with some safety precautions there. And I personally know about some of the festivals as well that occurs like all over Thailand, but specifically in Bangkok, there is Water Bomb Bangkok Festival. There's also the S2O Songkran Festival, which is super popular. You can check that out online if that's something that you're interested in. I personally haven't been to these sort of concerts before, so I'm not sure how crazy this could be. I know that they have like mechanical water guns that shoot at you while you're like dancing to like raving and like the music is like crazy. And other than Silom, other than all these things, have you been anywhere else, or is there any other highlights that you've experienced during Songkran?
My only experience for Songkran is during my high school period. So I believe most school in Thailand would dedicate at least half day for Songkran festival. So how my school used to do it was we will start with the more traditional rituals ceremony first, which is the things that you mentioned just now, like paying respect to our elderly, which in a school setting would be the teachers, right? And then after those traditional rituals, then we would have half day for the entire school, whether or not you're from elementary school or you're from the high school, middle school, and even the teachers would join together for this water splashing festival. Back then, I remember most of us really excited to get started with the water splashing because so in the morning, we will have the normal traditional ritual and then we'll go back to class. But after lunch, like around 1 or 2 in the afternoon, that's when the whole school will transform into, a celebration. So students, of course, would be very excited because that's when we get the chance to splash water to our beloved teachers, right? Yeah, so, and the fun thing is, I'm not sure if your school did this, but for our school, like in an international school, most of our teachers are also very open-minded and they're really willing to just play with the students. They won't get mad if we splashes water on them. They will also just let us splash water on them. And that's what sometimes makes students like me feel like, oh, we're getting closer to this particular teacher because they're so down to earth and they're willing to really just play with the students without any seriousness. Yeah, so that was one of the most fun memory that I have. And also if it's for the public festival, the only one that I've ever joined was really just the Silom one. For a bit of experience sharing from my side would be definitely don't drive over there. It's going to get super crowded and very difficult to find parking spot. And also I would recommend us to take public transportation as much as possible. Even if we are going to take like Grab taxi, most of the time because they will close the entire area and the nearby roads will also be very jammed with other cars. So most of the time, we're not able to stop the car right at the entrance because it's just too packed with not just people but also cars. So maybe we will still have to get down at a nearby location and then walk over. So be prepared to walk a lot and stand a lot for the festival. And also, well, back then we were not that used to using scan QR code payment yet, like digital payment. So we normally just use cash, right? Some of you might wonder, if we are bringing like water guns, how do we refill our water? So from my memory, normally at places where we celebrate Songkran water splashing festival, there will be several spots where people actually sell water for refilling. So just if you're going to run out of your water, just look for the refilling water section. And in the past I remember the refilling costs around 5 baht or 10 baht per gun. I'm not sure if it's still the same for this year. Maybe in that case, I feel like having cash could probably be more convenient because it will be really crowded. You will have so many people want to refill the water all at once. So if we want to protect our digital devices from water being splashed. So to me personally, it wouldn't be a good idea to scan for the payment for maybe just 10 baht, which is really a bit of hassle. So I would say maybe prepare some cash or coins just for the refilling.
I think what you've said too reminds me, and I want to say this. Please, anybody who's playing like splashing water and Songkran with everybody, please use hygienic water, because there are certain situations I've seen people use like dirty water just to refill because it doesn't cost them or anything. Some people even I've seen people like I know that this is a very rare case, but I've seen some people like drink water. And then they're like, okay, I have some water left from the drinking water that like mouth to bottle type water. And then they just use that water and put it back into the tank, and then they start shooting, and then the water came from their mouths or something like this. So that's definitely not hygienic. And please don't do that if you are planning to play Songkran this year. And another thing that what Sin said reminded me of is, when you're going around during Songkran and like all the transportation and all these things, you might already realize this, that the transportation in Thailand and also malls in Thailand are super, super cold. They turn on the AC to the max. And we all know how humid and hot Thailand is outside, especially during summer, which is Songkran time. It's hot outside, it's cold inside, and you're wet. Be sure to be prepared for this, because it is undeniable that you will be, using transportation like this, and it will be super cold. And when you go out, it's super hot. You're more prone to get sick. I've got sick before through, just being wet and going on public transportation to get places. And also be sure to wear proper footing, because most of the places that you go to, you'll realize that it's going to be wet everywhere, especially the entrances of malls and entrances of BTSs, MRTs. You'll see like a puddle of water, and you'll see like janitors cleaning constantly during this time, just so that we don't slip and fall. So whatever you're wearing during this time is also highly recommended to be something that will protect you from falling. With that said as well, we have a special guest today that we thought that would be amazing for her to share us a bit of insights, a bit of thought in terms of how she spends Songkran, as she is a Thai citizen and a local here. So she's our intern, and her name is Phim. Phim, say hello to everyone.
สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีครับ Phim, do you want to tell us a little bit about how you spend Songkran?
วันสงกรานต์ก็บ้านหนูจะเรียกว่าวันรวมญาติเลยค่ะก็ปกติจะมี3 วันใช่ไหมคะก็วันแรกจะเป็นวันที่แบบรวมญาติเป็นเหมือนว่าวันชิงมิงในจีนจะเรียกแบบนี้ใช่ไหมคะแต่ว่าบ้านหนูจะเรียกว่าบังสุกุลนะคะเป็นเหมือนการแสดงความเคารพต่อบรรพบุรุษที่แบบล่วงลับไปแล้วเป็นการไปกราบไหว้ คุณตาคุณยายที่เสียไปแล้วตามวัดต่างๆค่ะอย่างบ้านหนูก็จะเป็นแบบมี3 วัดก็จะไปตามสถานที่ต่างๆเลยตามวัดที่แบบเรียงไว้แล้วก็พอหลังจากนั้นก็จะเป็นพิธีรดน้ำดำหัวมันที่พี่โซนี่ได้เมนชั่นไปนะคะว่าแบบเป็นการเหมือนขอพรจากผู้ใหญ่หรือว่าเพื่อขอโทษหรือล่วงเกินทั้งกายและวาจาหรือสิ่งที่ตั้งใจหรือไม่ตั้งใจต่อผู้ใหญ่ด้วยก็เป็นเหมือนการเคารพนับถือเขาใน1 ปีเราก็จะทำกันครั้งหนึ่งแล้วหลังจากนั้นก็จะเป็นการแบบกินข้าวแล้วก็มีกิจกรรมต่างๆในภายในครอบครัว
I think that one thing that Phim mentioned here that we did not mention about that is nice to know about like Thai traditions is that there is still the connection between Thai culture and the Chinese culture of how they celebrate. So Cheng Meng that she mentioned here is about, I believe it's about grave cleaning. And during this year, because Chinese people, I myself don't do it because the cemetery that my family go to does not locate in Thailand. But if I were to go in Thailand, the Cheng Meng style is also the concept of like grave cleaning. And this is also the concept of like the New Year is here. So they go and clean their ancestors' properties to make it clean, to make it clean for the new year moving forward.
It is my first time to hear that Songkran in Thailand it's also related to the Qingming festival in China because to my understanding Qingming traditions in China is also quite huge.
Like I think like in our tradition it is a separate day for that and it's a separate celebration in a day. So it's I understand where you're coming from, what you're saying. It's like it's interesting to see that in Thailand perhaps they mesh it together with the New Year's tradition and what they do. So this is something that I'm also learning firsthand.
Yeah, that's also how about do you have any other special things that as a Thai that you would do or do you go out with your friends during Songkran festival apart from, with family?
หลังจากวันแรกใช่ไหมคะก็จะเป็นแบบอีก2 วันที่หลังก็จะเป็นเหมือนวันเล่นน้ำของแบบหนูเองอะไรเงี้ยก็จะส่วนใหญ่ก็จะออกไปกับเพื่อนๆค่ะไปเหมือนสีลมสยามสถานที่ต่างๆตามในกรุงเทพที่เขาจัดกิจกรรมต่างๆอะไรเงี้ยค่ะก็จะไปแล้วก็จะรวมตัวกับเพื่อนๆแล้วก็จะมีเพื่อนบางกลุ่มชอบบ้างบางกลุ่มไม่ชอบบ้างเพราะว่าแบบมันคนเยอะแล้วบางคนก็เล่นน้ำแบบไม่ค่อยเกรงใจคนอื่นเหมือนฉีดเข้าตาบ้างแล้วก็ทาแป้งปะแป้งแบบว่าให้เลอะหน้าตาเข้าตาบ้างอะไรบางคนก็แบบสุภาพแบบยิงแบบดีๆน่ารักอะไรเงี้ยเข้ามาแบบสุภาพอะไรเงี้ยค่ะ
Are there any other typical like is there any like cuisine that's tied to Songkran? In Thailand do people eat anything special during Songkran at all? Do you know?
แต่ของหนูก็จะเป็นแบบว่าที่บ้านทำต่างๆครอบครัวต่างๆก็จะทำอาหารมาแล้วก็เอามารวมกันแล้วก็แชร์กันกินจะเป็นเมนูต่างๆที่แล้วแต่ครอบครัวแต่ละคนชอบอะไรเงี้ย
For those who don't go to the celebration like the water splashing celebration, I think because during these few days it's national holidays, so there are also like families and friends who would just gather together to go on a trip that it's more like a family or friends trip away from the city because it is one of the longest holidays in Thailand and
longer now this year as well.
So for those who don't join the water splashing most of the time, at least for myself and my family too, we don't go out and celebrate this big water splashing festival all the time. We would just either go to a really nice restaurant and have family gathering or just enjoy some time with friends, or if we have more time or some special arrangement, we would just go out of town and enjoy some peacefulness time away. Yeah, it's for a retreat like that.
And I'm wondering like just before our like recording session here, I remember us talking about the big festival, like the water festival in Bangkok or in Thailand. And I remember, Phim, you said that you wanted to join one. I'm wondering, have you been to one before? Or do you know what it's like? Maybe for our listeners who are interested in this sort of big festivals?
หนูไม่เคยไปเลยค่ะแล้วก็อยากไปมากๆเหมือนปีนี้ก็เป็นตั้งใจไว้จะไปสักเฟสติวัลหนึ่งคือในประเทศไทยจะแบบให้ความสำคัญกับสงกรานต์มากเพราะว่าเป็นเทศกาลที่ยิ่งใหญ่มากแบบเป็นเทศกาลที่ต่างประเทศจะเข้ามาจอยหรือว่าเข้ามาวิสิตไทยแลนด์แบบเยอะมากๆก็ปีนี้ก็จะมี S2S สยามเฟสติวัลก็มีอะไรมากมายค่ะผับต่างๆก็จะเปิดให้เล่นน้ำแถว RCA อะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะก็หนึ่งในสิ่งที่หนูไปเฟสติวัลที่หนูอยากไปสุดก็คือแบบ S2O อะไรเงี้ยเป็นเทศกาลที่ยิ่งใหญ่มากแบบเห็นว่าแบบคนเยอะมากๆแล้วก็น่าจะจัดประมาณ4 วันเลยค่ะก็เป็นเทศกาลที่แบบว่าอยากไปสักครั้งหนึ่งเพราะว่าจะมีดีเจระดับโลกมาแล้วก็จะเปิดเพลงแนว EDM ฮิปฮอปอะไรประมาณนี้ค่ะให้คนเข้ามาจอยแล้วก็เล่นน้ำสนุกกัน
Right. Thank you, Phim, for all the insights that you've shared with us with how you spend Songkran holiday here in Thailand as a local. And I feel like one of the reasons why this year Songkran has been given so much attention by the government and also why people are going all out on this is also because it is the first official year back since COVID. We've been away for so long, and this celebration has been putting aside for so long that it is now time for Thailand to bring this back out. And I love that Phim mentioned that, this is a celebration particularly important for Thailand, and also how this celebration has brought in a lot of international engagements, and people would fly from different countries just to attend these highlight festivals, which is special to Thailand, I would say. So it is nice that we are now back in action in terms of all these events, these big events that people are attending again, and we are able to do all these things after the pandemic. But with that said as well, I want to also, again, remind everybody of how important it is to take care of yourself during this season, during these festivities, because at the same time as this is the most exciting time for all these outdoors adventures, wet, wild, and free activities that you have together outdoors, it's also the time that the death toll in Thailand is at one of its highest as well. Take care of yourselves and take care of your health. It's very important. But at the same time, of course, enjoy yourself. Take those memories with you and have the greatest time during this year's Songkran.
Yeah, everyone, take care and have a lot of fun and be safe wherever you travel or wherever you celebrate.
Happy Thai New Year's. สวัสดีปีใหม่ครับ
สวัสดีปีใหม่ค่ะ
สวัสดีปีใหม่ค่ะ